Here we go.
Kriket is pro.
Maybe. It's fucking OBS. All right, we're finally recording. Jesus Christ, what a good start. Uh, Misek, how the hell are you? How
I
you doing?
feel like shit. I bet you didn't expect that. I never feel like shit.
You always feel like shit. You say
I
you
do,
always
yeah.
feel like shit. Well, are you as shitty as the shit going on in the game right now? Which is shittier?
Oh, trust me, the shit going on in the game is always shittier than I feel
Yeah, this is
because it always affects way more than me, and that's why it's shittier. Like you
it's
can't you can't really compare the two because I am always going to be less shitty just based on that.
I,
Based on that alone, I am less shitty.
okay. I know this right now. This is a buggy mess. The game is as buggy as it's been since launch. I mean, it just seems like there's so many little bugs just causing the mouse pointer issue that we both experienced. It's just random lag spikes, latency pings. I mean, I did a 13 Notharius last night with 2,000 ping and constant disconnects, and still timed it.
So what you're saying is it went really well.
We finished it, so I mean, it could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean there definitely have been a lot of issues. More more than you really think about until you really sit down and start thinking about them, I
I
guess.
Again, I just don't know what's going on. I make a switch screens here. It's video. It's okay. I'm trying to, but anyway, what do you think of the new raid so far?
The new rate's actually pretty good. Um, I haven't been impressed by it, but I haven't really been upset by it either. Uh, if anything, I guess if anything, I might say that they still have the same old issue where it's like, oh look, we have a fight with blue on blue on blue on blue on blue, and each blue does something fucking different, and you have to keep track of all of them. And you better hope that you've got good eyesight and a good computer and not shitty latency, otherwise you're fucked.
Yeah,
So
it's
there are definitely some design shit that they still fucking can't get through their goddamn heads. But beyond that, overall, it hasn't been horrible. It's been fairly enjoyable. I like the fact that the last boss is not a fucking 37-minute fight again. You know,
no,
that's great.
it seems like it's a nice constant. What, probably 14, 15 minutes, something like that.
Oh, no way.
What, the last boss?
Last boss is nowhere near 15 minutes.
Sure, sure. It's not like it feels longer. To me, it
I'm
feels longer.
goddamn positive
Okay.
if it was 15 minutes, we'd be running double lust.
Okay. It feels longer. Um,
No, it's like a uh, it's like a 6, 7, 8 minute fight,
okay.
depending on
And
how good your
I've
DPS
killed it
is.
on normal this week, so I did get that accomplished too. So it's um we got 8 of 9 normal. I like it. I'm actually a pretty big fan of it, just because it's different. Most of the bosses are single target heavy, single target focused.
Yeah, that's definitely different,
It's a
and kind of exciting even.
Yes, it's a definite change from what we've been going through, where most of the bosses are cleave or heavy ad focus or a council fight. Notice we don't have a council fight this time. Which is
Well, we do, but
but they're individual. Yeah, we got a
yeah, they're
council, but they're
individual.
one at a
So it's
time.
not your traditional, hey, I've got to deal
Yeah,
with multiple bosses at once council fight, which
yeah,
is good.
yeah. I like the aesthetic. It so far the fights we've done, I think they feel good. they're not overly complicated like was another thing that seems to, that was a normal trend till you get to the last boss. The last couple of bosses, they start throwing in a lot of more mechanics on top of more mechanics on top of more mechanics and calling it fun.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, I'm still not happy about that. Like, I understand that at that point they're trying to cater to a specific audience, I guess. I just think about it as it's like what you're doing is it's like you're trying to make spaghetti. You're throwing it all against the wall and seeing what sticks. As
yeah,
that's not that's not fun. You
yeah.
know, it's not more fun because there's 47 mechanics instead of 10 or 12. It just isn't. It I do feel like it's less bad than it has been in previous tiers.
I agree. Yes, this is. I think it's a good start. I think it feels
Yeah,
good. Like
yeah. I
the
feel
the
like they are
raid feels
moving.
good.
Yeah, they do appear to be moving in a direction that I can live with that.
Yeah,
So that's definitely helpful.
I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of new content. Period. But when the new content is solid, it's not trying to do too much, but it still gets done what needs to get done. That's to me, that's a win. That's just it's a
Yeah.
so I'm happy with Avarice so far. I think just it's a very solid rate all the way through. Um, I've done I've cleared it on normal. I've done the first three bosses on heroic. Um, Heroic's not that much more complicated. If it even is more complicated, I'll be honest with you. Like the first three bosses, there's I've heard there's pretty big difficulty ramp up once you start getting past those first three. Um,
Oh, I would expect that.
so um,
I would have
haven't
been more surprised if there wasn't,
haven't done
honestly.
that yet. Lee talked about maybe trying to pug it some tonight, so I may try and get in with on that with him tonight. We'll see how it goes. People still need to do keys and shit tonight
Yeah,
too, I'm sure. So
I wouldn't be opposed to pucking it tonight, but I also have done less keys than you have.
yeah,
So
yeah, I've hit the
that
keys
that
pretty
would
hard.
that would probably be more important for me.
Still aren't like some people. It's doing 16s and up, and plus 20s and shit like that.
Yeah,
Oh gosh,
you
damn.
know, I feel like so far the keys are overtuned for what they are.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
unhappy with the affixes yet, but we've only seen two of them so far, so that's not really fucking saying a whole goddamn lot.
Yeah, no, and you're
But
only you're only going to see one of them for most of the early content. I mean, it's
oh
just.
yeah, and that's honestly that's a great change.
Hmm.
But while they said that their intention was to make the dungeons themselves more impactful than the affixes, and while I'm fine with that, I agree that's a good thing. It feels overtuned, you know,
Uh,
and I've had one group that even fucking cleared a damn dungeon this week. Every fucking even guild groups, every fucking group I get in doesn't even fucking clear, and it pisses me off.
yeah.
And you know, there are times that like I just shake that off, and I can all right, well, queue again, find the next group. This just hadn't been the week for it, and it
Well,
maybe it should have been, but that's what's really got me pissed this week.
yeah, you've got a lot of people that's just diving headfirst into it that they have no clue what they're doing. Um, it's a little different going into a dungeon blind and knowing your class. You've got people who don't know their class that's just going right into it. They don't know a clue what they're doing, and
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah, or people
it's
jumping into it. It's like, oh well, I'm 400 eye level. I can handle a 17.
yeah.
I mean, I'm exaggerating some there, but Fucking what the hell?
I'm 400 eye level. I can pull half the trash at one time. That's a common thing too. Uh, even
Well,
though
yeah,
it's a
it's
tyrannical week, that trash it once you get above a 12, honestly, once you get I've noticed once you get around 11 or 12, the difficulty really picks up. I
well, yeah.
mean,
I mean, the
it's
scaling is still very painful.
mhm.
You know, that's one of the changes that they made for Dragonflight specifically was that they really impacted the scaling past a 10. They said, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this hurt a lot more,
They did.
and it fucking does. You know, mission fucking accomplished. I don't know anybody that's like, yeah, that's the best change in the fucking world.
Yeah,
But
no,
you know, mission accomplished. You did what you set out to. You made it where more and more people are refusing to do your content.
that's exactly what's happening right now too. I mean, it's
You know, I actually was talking with Lee. I think it was last night or the other night, and he was telling me uh, he's surprised, and he's one of the people that does higher keys than most in our guild. You know,
yeah.
he'll run into the 20s. He thinks it's fun. You know, former mythic raider, like he enjoys that shit, and I get it. On the other hand, he was somebody. You know, I'm very surprised by the lack of people that are applying for keys, and that surprises me a little bit. You know, at when I first hear that kind of thing, I'm like, really? I mean, this first week out, you're not getting It's like in previous seasons, when I would decide to go do a key, I would click the button, and all of a sudden, I would have 800 people apply for my key. So when he's telling me that he's running, decent level content, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go do this thing," and he applies or he starts a group, whatever the fuck it is, and then he has to sit there for 30 minutes. That's not a good fucking sign. That tells you how many people don't fucking want Mythic Plus anymore. You know,
Yeah,
that
it's
tells you just how bad last season was, and it tells you how many people are like, all right, we already know this season's overtuned as fuck. We're gonna have to wait a few weeks before it's even fucking playable for the average player. You know, it's not a good thing. On the other hand, I'm happy to say Blizzard is still going with what they've been doing this expansion, which is they're not afraid to tune early and often. So
yes.
they don't just suddenly usually jump in and go, all right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to nerf this dungeon across the board by 20%. No, that what they are doing is like, all right, today we're going to nerf these two abilities by 5, 10, 15%. Um, Several days later, all right, so we're also going to remove this ability from trash because we're right. We understand it's garbage and it nobody actually likes it, and we're also going to decrease this other ability on this other boss 20%. You know, it, it's slow, but it's also fast. You
I
know,
mean, they're getting there. They're hot fixing like
yeah,
crazy. They've hot fixed every day. It's you know,
yeah, and I'm very happy with that. I'm happy with the fact that they are willing to move early and often. I feel like they don't always hit the mark with it, but the fact that they're willing to get in there and do that now, as opposed to 3 months from now and go, oh well, I guess Lower Karazhan maybe could use a nerf. It's a good thing. It's a step in the right direction from previous tiers and expansions.
yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's they're moving. Both, like you said, with the raid, they're doing the same thing with Mythic Plus. They're moving in the right direction. They're
Yeah,
it's there's still some rough you know rough patches along the way. trying to get the word, but it's overall with Mythic Plus, I'm satisfied with it as well as somebody who
Yeah.
normally is in that mid to high range of key pusher. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I think some of them are a bit overtuned, but I've also noticed that some of that's with gear has made a
Oh yeah,
difference.
absolutely.
Uh, and with the certain groups, with the group comp and stuff too. Like,
Oh
uh,
yeah, the difference between going in somewhere at like 405 and going in at 420, massive.
well, I mean, just for example, like that Vortex Pinnacle that we done that you know went absolute hell on the second boss. What level was that? What didn't we try it on? Was it an 11? Was it what we tried to do it on? And we just
I
couldn't.
I fucking don't know. Probably yeah.
It was something up there, uh, in that range. And then I turned around with a buddy of mine last night and did it on a 13
Yeah.
with absolutely no issues. Like it,
Yeah, I could believe that.
like we wiped once on the second boss, and it was just like, and that was it. Um, and I've ran it a couple more times since then as well. It's you know, some of it feels a little rough. God, the third boss in the Therian's Lair, Jesus Christ, the worm boss, fucking hell. On higher keys, that boss is wrecking the shit out of people. I mean, it is overtuned.
Oh
They
yeah,
they've
I'm
nerfed
sure.
it a couple of times too, and it's still overtuned. It's just wow. Um, so
Yeah,
there,
that didn't surprise me in the slightest.
you've definitely got some dungeons like that. That's just going to absolutely just it's going to kick the average player's ass. It really is. Trying to think. You got Netherian's Lair. You got Bracken Hollow. Um, Vortex Pinnacles rough. Oldman's got its rough patches. But then you've got your easy ones, and I don't want to say that Freehold's easy. I think it's just so familiar. We've done Freehold so many times already. I'm
I think that definitely makes a difference, but I feel like having gone through it again, it's definitely easier than what I've seen out of other dungeons.
yeah. I, I just think a lot of it's familiarity with Freehold, just because that's your power level dungeon. That's your it's been in Mythic Plus. What you had Time Walking Mythic Plus, and now just part of the new rotation. It's just been around so much. It's been done to death.
It
So
has been, but realistically, when you look at the mechanics in Freehold, they're not particularly challenging compared to the mechanics in other dungeons. I can't
true.
think of anything in Freehold that I just go, oh God, I fucking hate this. I want to die. Please, someone kill me. I don't want to do this dungeon. I
Yeah.
can think of those things in every other dungeon on the list.
I,
And then
I
on top of it, I feel like stuff literally just doesn't hurt as much in Freehold. I feel like I feel like it's had more balance to it than the other dungeons. Which, of course, from Blizzard's perspective, probably means, oh, well, then it's clearly undertuned. It needs like a 700% buff so that players won't run it.
yeah. I yeah, I agree with you. It's just there's a lot of tuning going on. There's still a lot of tuning left to go. I just again, I'm a fan of it.
Yeah,
Again, it's heading in the right direction. Uh,
yeah. I am optimistic. As much as I'm not happy about where it's at now, I'm optimistic, and I do feel like they've made some good changes going into the season. So I feel like this season will be better than season one. And I am hopeful, assuming that they continue along this track, that season three. will be even better than season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I guess we can. Oh God. Okay. Here we go. Here's where my ranting's going to start. It's going to start right
Well,
off
that's
the
fun because
bat.
usually it's me.
We've talked about the positive things. The raid's positive. Mythic Plus, it's a bit wonky, but it's positive. They're both heading in positive directions. We've been positive.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, just from what I've done so far this week, I'm not a fan of the gearing system. This new gearing system is, I don't like it. I just, I'm sitting on multiple pieces of gear that I can't do jack shit with because it's locked behind getting the right Chris.
Yeah. But
I
you know what? It I I don't want to brown in your parade here. It would have been the exact same fucking way if they had just kept Valor.
well, no, it wouldn't have. That's my
Really?
issue here, though. Yeah, I've got.
What makes you think that it wouldn't be the same if they had just kept
Well,
Valor?
I can't replace my tier. The tier bonus is still too powerful. I can't change my weapon. My crafted weapon's still better, even though I've got a higher eye level weapon. I can't use it because it's still not as good as my crafted weapon until I get it leveled up higher. It's
Okay.
my trinkets. The trinkets are the same way. I'm getting 424 trinkets, and one of them's ass, but it's better than what I had. Um, Drives me nuts. But I mean, the rings. Still using the one from Forbidden Reach. I don't know how long we're going to use it. Um,
Uh, it's going to vary based on character, but for us, basically until you get a mythic level ring with
that
best
was
in, best in slot stats.
that's what I thought was it was in that 440 eye level range. With
Yeah, about 441 to
yeah,
447, somewhere in
see,
there. Anything higher, of course, absolutely you'd be
I'm
changing.
not a fan of that. Um, I said I've got tons of gear sitting in. I've got 423 with the gear in my bags.
Okay.
My gear equipped 420
Okay, so why is this not exactly the way it would have been had you been using Valor?
because if I was using Valor, I wouldn't be having to worry about upgrading it now.
Absolutely you would.
No, see that's my thing is that I have even with these crests being locked behind, I've got other crests that I can't use because I can't use these crests because I have to wait to have the other crests to
Oh yeah,
use to.
don't get me wrong. I fully agree with you that it is far more complicated and convoluted than it needs to be, and that's some fucking horse shit. On the other hand, it's still the same issue that we had with Valor. It's just worse.
Maybe that's it. It feels worse.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. When they limited Valor, it felt worse all the fucking time. Okay? Because it was always, all right, now I've completed all this. Oh, look, I could be earning Valor, but no, I can't because arbitrarily you've decided that I can't. So for the rest of the week, every time I run something that would give me Valor, I'm going to feel like shit because I don't get Valor,
Yeah,
right?
that's how I am
So,
right
so,
now. Yeah,
so now they've done that with 4 crests and flight stones. So now that they're making you feel 5 times as bad.
and
so,
I
so, so, so it's so it's not really any different functionally. Like functionally, I feel like you'd still be in the same issue. It's it's that it's more convoluted and it feels shittier because you're thinking about it from the perspective of, well, look, now I've got all these other things that I've got to deal with too.
No, no, I can't do anything about it. Like, you know, started out, because we're heroic raiders and we do our mythic plus for the most part. Started out, weapon Chris absolutely useless. Absolutely, no point in even.
Well, for us, I
Yeah,
mean, if you have alts, great for gearing that. If you
yeah.
have people that rerolled, great for gearing them up. But for the average player that happened to have been
They
rating
got
heroic or even fucking normal,
they got turned into gold.
yeah,
Like it's
absolutely. I'm fucking with you there. Like, and it feels like shit when that happens. It really does.
it's so got that going on. Got the yeah. I'm locked behind two crests right now. Like I'm maxed on the worm crest. I'm maxed on the drake quest. I can't upgrade my gear with the worm crest that I have because I'm out of drake crest for that one level that I've got to get to fucking use my worm crest on.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking
Doesn't it
frustrating.
feel good?
No, I have four worm crests sitting in my bags right now that I cannot use because
Yeah.
I have to have that Drake crest to get to that level to use the worm crest.
Well, and Blizzard, kind-hearted as they always are, has given you two options for that, right? They've given you the option of one, turning that into basically a primal infusion so that you can craft gear.
Yeah,
So it's like, hey, here, do
which I've
something
done.
really expensive. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's where three of my worm crests went.
Yep, and that's fine. I understand where that ties in.
Yep.
Um, or you could take your hard-earned worm crests and turn them into drake crests
Yes, yeah.
so that you have less worm crests, and you've already built up all these fucking things for the week. So now you can waste them by reverting them to a shittier crest so that you can upgrade shit to the point where you can use the worm crest, only you can't use the worm crest because you just turned it into the drake crest so you could upgrade it to the point that you could use the worm crest.
Yep.
What the fuck, you stupid motherfuckers? Where does this feel good?
It doesn't. It feels absolutely horrible. Like that.
Yeah,
That's my thing. It's like that would feel. Why the fuck would I trade in the crest that I worked twice as hard to get for one that I can get by doing practically nothing? Like
yeah,
that.
it's one of
That's
those
absolutely
it's
horrible.
you're right, it is. And it's one of those things like they've come across a new design where they're trying to unify things, and I can appreciate that. I can even appreciate their attempt to do it. But they're still stuck on a whole bunch of old design modalities where they try and limit player progression tremendously and obfuscate and make multiple tiers that all interact with each other. It's garbage. Nobody wants that.
No.
Nobody.
Yes. No. It's so fucking
Yeah.
frustrating. We even did the weekly heroic quest.
Oh
Where
yeah.
you have a choice at gear or what looks like is a Drake crest. All right, those are your options. Plus, you get a bunch of red.
D- doesn't it even show you a full Drake
Yes,
crest?
it shows you a full Drake quest. It does. And then once you read the text, it says it is an item that will grant you 15 Drake crest fragments. So
Yep.
if you're already capped on your fragments for the week, you can't get it. Or you can't use it. You can get it, but you can't use it. It does you
Yeah.
no good.
And if you're gonna get it, like, and if you're already at the point where you're capping this shit that easily,
Yeah.
you know, there's no point because you're gonna do the same thing next week, right?
Right.
It's not going to be that hard. Like if you're capping your Drake Crest, you probably rated normal, and you probably did just a minor amount of content out in the world. So given that, like, there's no reason. Like, why would you ever take? It's a false choice. But on the other hand, the gear is also a false choice because very quickly it becomes something that you don't fucking want or need.
Yeah,
You know?
right now, I was lucky. I got a piece out of it that I could use right away. Um, the last couple of weeks, that was nice. At least getting a set of bracers above my 408 bracers that I had.
Yeah.
So I got 415 bracers out of it. But I can't upgrade them beyond that. Like it's an upgrade, barely.
I, yeah, barely.
And yeah, it's
Uh,
frustrating. I'm
it's
so
frustrating,
frustrated.
and it just it doesn't feel good. And why the fuck are we playing this game if it's gonna feel bad? You know, if it's literally just gonna feel like shit. It's like, oh well, here's the thing, and we're not gonna let you use the thing, and you've got all this playtime. Oh well, let us fucking choose how to play it. If I want to gear one character through the dick in the ceiling, just done. I won't have to, get any more gear that patch on that character. Fucking let me do it.
Well,
You know?
it's not only that too. It's like, why are they limited? I guess it's more frustrating for me right now just because of what's limited and how it's affecting me. But
Yeah.
why are they limiting the lower end as much as they are the higher end? Like I can honestly see more. Like, okay, you don't want people running 447 eye level the very first week. I get that. You want uh the layered progression. But why are the Whelpling and Drake, for example, why limit those? Because you're giving them away like crazy anyway. Like everything, all the world quests, all the assaults, stuff like that, the flight stones, Whelping crests, Drake quests. That
Yeah.
they're constantly being rewarded. Why are those being limited like as much as they are the other ones?
And you've got all these fucking things that you randomly get. It's like, oh look, here's this pouch, and it's gonna give you Whelpling stones or Drake stones because you did this thing that was very normal that you're gonna do out in the world. Now you're in a position, and fucking flight stones too. Like you're
Yeah,
constantly getting flight stones. Now you're in a position where you're just gonna feel bad all the time because you are constantly going to be reminded that there's this currency that you can't access that maybe you could, maybe you couldn't have done something with, that Blizzard just said, nah, fuck you.
yeah. It
You
is
know?
it is a giant cock in the ass. It, I'm just
Yeah. I
it doesn't feel good. It's there's my rant, and you went off on it too. It's just so it feels so bad.
it
It's
does.
a bad feeling system, and I get what you're saying. Like, yeah, if it was Valor, the cap and everything, the limitations would still be there, but it feels worse. It
Yeah,
it it
I could see that.
and it feels dramatically worse too. Like it's not just a little. It like I said with the Drake and the Whelpling Crest, with them just being so rampant in everything that you do. Like you get them in everything. Everything you do is giving you tons of weapon crits, tons of flight stunts, tons of Drake quests, and
Yeah.
once you're capped, it's just like boom. Okay, you're not getting nothing. There's nothing uh,
Yeah.
to replace it with. It's just like they just poof, they disappeared. Like
There's
it's
nothing else you could use it on.
no,
Nothing to make it feel less like ass.
no. I mean, they're not even giving you gold for it. Like you're
Fuck.
getting nothing.
Fuck. Make it where it. every 100 flight stones or every 5 crest fragments you gain after you can't actually gain anymore for a week, you gain 5 Niffen rep or 10 Niffen rep, something like that. There are
No,
things that they could do.
they can't do
That,
that because then you would get a
oh yeah, that's
max
right.
renown too quick.
Exactly. I mean, never mind that it's actually something that's fairly farmable anyway.
Yeah.
But we can't be doing that. That
No.
that would also hamper player progression by making it a little too fast.
It's again. It's I don't know.
It
I,
doesn't
it,
feel good.
it it's
It doesn't feel good.
it's giving me a headache thinking about it. Yeah. Okay. I went off on my tangent. That's just
You usually don't go off on my
I,
style rants, so
I was
I'm proud of you.
that's it. Really annoyed, frustrated with the whole upgrade system. The crafting system I'm okay with. I think the limitations on it are reasonable
Uh,
to a
I'm
point.
torn.
Yeah, I'm torn on it too. That's why I said reasonable.
I'm torn on a bunch of levels. You know, I like the fact that with the barter brick system, you have the quests that touch all the different professions, and they're in a rotation, so you've got a chance for everybody to get in on that. That's really cool. And it means that you're also dependent on your fellow players and stuff like that. That's cool. They didn't have to do it with barter bricks. They didn't have to do it with barter bricks and barter boulders and cream
Yeah,
and vouchers
I
and the
don't even know
37
what the
different
fuck a barter
currencies.
boulder is. I haven't even seen one. So.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is it's like they didn't have to do it with all this extra bullshit that no one wanted or cares about, making it more even more. It's like a fucking mobile game. It's so convoluted and
Feels
shit.
like it. You need this currency to buy this currency to buy this currency to buy this
Yeah,
currency, and
I,
yeah.
I, I don't want to. I don't want some weird ass fucking trading game of currencies and shit. Just let me get the fucking thing. Just let me get the fucking thing. So I don't like that. When it comes to, for example, the crafting system for gear, some of it is some of it's really well thought out. Other things I don't know. For example, let's talk about making the enchanted crests. You need one enchanted crest for an enchanted whelp. I mean, you need one whelpling crest for an enchanted whelpling crest. You need what is it, two or three for? I think it's three, right?
You need 3 for an enchanted
Yeah,
crisis.
three for a worm crest. Three.
3.
And you need four for an aspects crest.
Oh wow. See, I
That's
didn't even know that. I thought it
Yeah,
was
that's
3 all the
arbitrary
way
as
around.
fuck. It just randomly goes, we're gonna make you have to use far more because fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that doesn't feel good.
No, that's
You know,
I'm not pushing 16s or mythic grade yet, but I mean
they at
that sounds like that feels even worse than what I'm feeling now. It's
so some of the recipes that they added require the new shadow flame whatchamafucker, right?
yeah.
And I know it's week one. I know it will become more common. I get it. But the fact that it's a rare drop isn't necessarily horrible, but it's painful. I would be on board with that if not for the fact that they also added an entire new set of Shadow Flame crafting tables. So anytime you have to deal with anything
Oh
Shadow
lord.
Flame, you've got to go find the fucking event out in the world so that you can stand at a crafting table at an arbitrary location to
Mm-hmm.
craft shit.
Yeah.
That
Now,
doesn't feel good.
no, we're
Who the
going to go.
fuck cares?
We're going to go back off on the whole crafting table shit now too, aren't we? Because it's just
Yeah, I mean, th-
Yeah,
they're
no,
doubling down on a system nobody likes,
yes, nobody,
and
no,
I don't like that, of course.
but their no, no, but their solution, their fix is, oh, here's a table that you can make and just use willy nilly right here, like ta-da. It costs a
Well,
fucking fortune, and you can only use it three
yeah,
times, so you got to recharge it. Uh,
and by recharge it, you mean, oh, okay, you keep the 30,000 gold vendor material, 30,000 gold vendor
yes,
material,
I
and
saw
then you
that.
spend 10 to 20,000 more, and then probably pay someone another 3 to 5,000 gold on top of that to go out to a dungeon that they then have to run to get to an altar at the very back to create the fucking thing, and it's consumable.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the same thing with the new alchemy, the new alchemy file cauldron, ridiculously
Yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
also consumable.
Yep.
It's, and and they're still fleeting files. It's like across the board, there is no reason that you would ever want to use. I I I will never make one of these things because it is such a bad plan. I will literally continue providing the entire fucking guild with their files unless they want some special file, in which case they can fuck themselves and go buy it,
Corrupting
or
rage.
bring me fucking materials and I'll fucking make it for them. I
I,
don't care about that.
I need you to get altered decay, by the way, today to make me some corrupting rage
Yeah,
files.
I can do that, and I'm starting to get the I'm starting to finish off my decay tree too, so
Yeah.
it will get better over time. But my point is,
Yeah.
like, Blizzard has this fucking habit of taking something that is an interesting idea that players are like, oh, well, that would be cool. And then they go, okay, so now how can we make it not worth it and make the player base hate us more? I I don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah. And then when the player base says something like, this doesn't feel good, this isn't right, they're falling back in that thing that they did in BFA. They're falling back into that trap to of you guys think you want this, but you don't.
Yeah.
Kind of with the
Well,
classic WoW thing. It's like you think you want this, but you don't. And then once we finally get it, they're like, "Oh, you really
oh well,
did want
shit.
it."
I guess you motherfuckers actually did want this. Well,
Uh huh.
goddamn. Who the fuck knew? Who the fuck knew that when you said, "Hey, I really want this," you actually meant it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's we're the ones. Like I get that they're the ones who make the game. Like it's their art. It's their it's their project. All right. It's
I
it's
mean, is it
it's
really? We
but
pay their salary.
it's our game. That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah,
I've played this game for going on 16 years. 16 fucking years. I
yeah.
paid a monthly subscription more often than not. I just last month I just re-upped my 6 months up. I it and then they act like, oh, thank you.
And
Here's your reward.
I,
We understand your concerns, but this is how we're going to do it.
I feel like some of this too is just some arbitrary, like, over their head bullshit from people that aren't developers are like, hey, we need you to do it like this because we'll get more player engagement and it's going to force them to keep playing, and maybe they'll want to do this, that, or the other, and it's more money for us. It's like, no. Do you, how often have I dropped my sub? Literally when a friend, literally when I told a friend who was addicted as fuck that he needed to quit WoW. That was it. You know, the vast majority of players that really enjoy the game are there, period. So on the
Yeah,
one hand, you might be right. There might be some people that would be willing to drop their sub and go play another game, what have you. That's fine. I understand that exists. But you're catering to that to force them to keep playing which makes them want to play less, and you're pissing off the people that really wanted to play more to begin with.
Yeah, it's another one of those things that it makes it not feel good.
Yeah.
Even
I
though I played, I'm going more hardcore this season than I've went in a long time. I've got the time to do it. I want to do it. I'm doing it. Plain and simple. But it's these little things that just make it not feel good. It it hasn't changed. It still doesn't change. They do a few little things that makes you look like that they're heading in the right direction. Like we talked earlier with the raid and the Mythic Plus. Like it seems like they're stepping in the right direction. The currency thing, it seems like a good idea. And then
Yeah.
they have to throw a big pile of shit on top of
Oh yeah.
it. It's
Absolutely. It's like,
the
hey, we're going to unify this gearing system. It's like, oh, thank God, that is fucking amazing. Thank you for allowing us to do this. And it's like, well, what we're going to do is we're going to stagger the weapon and armor tiers. Wait, what? Oh, we're also going to add, 5 different currencies in, and you're lucky because we're going to put one of them in the currency tab. The others are actually going to be this smaller currency that's going to turn into a larger currency. So you really have a bunch of bag slots taken up that you didn't need before, and they're going to go into your bank sometimes because you click deposit all on your reagent tab for no fucking reason. Because who the
uh-huh.
fuck would store that shit in the reagent tab? I
Yep.
I mean, and then after that, where did I'm at a loss as to why they chose this as their design. And like I said, that it's an interesting first attempt. It was a good thought. It needs a lot of improvement.
Well, and are we going to get that improvement? Like I haven't seen them mention anything about it for 10.1.5 yet.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't expect it yet. It's been a week. Well, 2 weeks technically, but like they're only just now getting into the worm and aspect crests. Um, I feel like realistically, it's gonna be a bit before they really mention it and start taking player feedback seriously on it. It's gonna depend on feedback, over time as opposed to just right out the gate people going, "Are you fucking kidding me?" It's kind of like fucking conduit energy in Shadowlands. Nobody liked that.
No,
Nobody thought this is a good plan. Except for one fucking developer that like had some hard on for this something, some fucking idea in the back of their head that this was a good idea because it limited this and it fucked
no.
with the players in this specific way. And eventually they went, oh, okay, we get it. Uh, we stood by it, but when 90 million people or whatever the fuck come to us and say, no, you're fucking wrong, maybe we're a little bit wrong.
And that and they're it's it takes so much for them to realize that too. Like it really does. It's like it just seems like it takes forever for them to realize. Okay, a bunch of people are saying that this isn't working. Maybe we should look into why it's not working.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean,
it takes forever for them to do that. And they're like I said, they're falling into that same trap again, to where they're like, oh, you think you want this, but you really want it how we've got it.
yeah,
And
I'll tell you, it reminds me of last season, and I think it was Morgan. My apologies if it wasn't, but I remember last season about halfway through the season where some fucking big dick developer got up on and did some interview about Mythic Plus, and they were really excited about it. They were saying, "Oh yeah, this is fucking great. We've never seen this kind of engagement before. We feel like it's hard and it's moving in the right direction." Meanwhile, the entire fucking player base seethed
yes,
because it was fucking gaslighting them. It's like
Yeah,
I don't know a single person who looks back on last season and goes, "Yes, that was a step in the right direction."
I'm pretty sure it was Morgan too. I don't think it was.
Which,
I don't think it was Ian. It was one of them, but I don't
yeah,
think it was Ian.
which that doesn't surprise me because it's like then near the end of the season they come out and say, "Okay, so what we're going to do is we feel like last season was great, but the player base has in fact spoken, so we're going to move in the direction that the player base has finally said."
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. I
that's
mean,
it's,
thank you, I guess.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for finally taking the shit off of what we told you, and you know, but
I
you didn't clean it. You just took it off. It,
yeah, I mean, I
you know, it's
I I always appreciate when, someone that is feeding me a shit sandwich and I tell them, "Hey, by the way, dude, this is a shit sandwich and I'm not going to eat it." And they're like, "No, man, it's great. It's a shit sandwich. You're going to enjoy a shit sandwich, right? Shit sandwiches are great. It's perfect."
mm,
And they come back a few hours later and they're like, "Okay, so maybe the shit sandwich idea wasn't so bad, wasn't so good. I fucking went out and I read a little bit. Apparently, a lot of people don't like shit sandwiches.
mm,
I like shit sandwiches. I don't really understand where you guys are coming from,
yeah,
but okay, I'm with you. Shit sandwich, not good. I'm gonna go get you a pizza, man." It's like, great. I would fucking love a pizza right now.
yeah.
Pizza would be awesome. And they
Here's
come back and it's like, "So what we did is, here's a shit taco." You didn't say shit taco. You said a fucking pizza. What the fuck is the shit taco for? Well, we
true.
like the concept of the shit sandwich, so we're going to give you a shit taco instead. It's not a sandwich exactly. It's a different kind of bread. Now it's this shitty, like crunchy shit on top of the shit. It's great. You're going to love it. Uh, at what point do they just give you the fucking pizza?
They'll give you a shit pizza.
Fucking probably, man. I mean, it's just crazy, you know. I I I I, I get real wound up about it, but it feels like it feels like a lot of times Blizzard doesn't listen or think about what their player base is really interested in. It feels like they get these design ideas and principles, but they don't actually think about, oh, okay, well, how is this going to affect the game? It's like they think about it on a certain level, but they don't think about it from the same perspective that a player would. And that's a real issue.
Ugh. Oh, I know you don't care about the race for world first stuff too, but Liquid did finally. Uh, they killed it.
Well, go stroke their dick. I don't care.
I've had
Good
it.
on them.
I've had it playing in the background while I was
Good on
doing
them.
this too.
Hopefully, the people sponsoring them get every single one of those motherfuckers some hookers and blow. They did it. They
They did it.
slayed the internet. They literally slayed the internet dragon. Good job, guys.
America, go America, America number one.
No, I mean,
Woo!
I get it. Like, it's fucking hard ass content. It's just I'm not the one fucking running it, so why the
Yeah,
fuck would I care? I kind of always felt that way about
you're not a sports ball person, are you?
no, I'm not a sports ball person realistically. Like it's one of those things like and it's the same with a race to world first. Like if I'm sitting down with somebody and they're really into it and I'm watching it, I pick up on things. I was like, "Oh, well that's interesting. They did this." It's kind of interesting, but it's not something that I would want to ever watch or deal with. It's like I don't care that much about it.
Yeah, that's me. It's like I haven't watched any of it until uh, Frozen and Guild said that Liquid had it down to 4%, and then that was like, oh, okay, I want to watch it. I want to see if they get the kill.
Yeah,
So
I think in officer chat they said something about like, "Oh man, they had like a 0.86% pull or something like that."
yeah,
And it's like, "Oh, that's horrible. Oh man." You think I mean, people get really into it. I just never have understood it myself.
it's the competitive side of it. It's the it's seeing the parts that you know personally you're probably not going to ever do, and seeing it done by, especially this, it seems like it's done by normal fucking people like us. Like it's to me, I see more of a connection with this than I do professional sports, just because a lot of these people that do this, that do the esports and things like that, are they're more normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Like you as a gamer get that sense. It's like, if I you you feel like you've got more of a chance of doing that than you do being a professional NFL player.
you know, I guess it also galls me that it feels like Blizzard really,
Caters to them.
um, yeah, it feels like a lot of their design caters to the fact that there's going to be world first and that there's going to be uh, a whole lot of people getting into Mythic, and there really aren't. Like when you look at the numbers, it's not a lot of people. It's almost none, and it's
I get it.
it, imagine like you're on some fucking casual ass football team, and the NFL like it started making these weird ass field changes because these peak form athletes could deal with this other thing that you obviously couldn't deal with, and then like they came down and were like, you know what, we're gonna take this down to the shitty little leagues too because fuck those guys, and it would be too much money or time to really deal with it outside of this. So we're just gonna make it across. That's the way it feels like to me.
Yeah, I
You know.
I get that sentiment. I get that feeling. I hate that I got us off on that, but it's just that's something I see. Echo in second place right now. At they just had an under 6% pull. Um, so and then methods a bit further behind it. Their best pull is 40% on sarcasm.
Well, good on them.
So
Hookers and blow for everybody.
hookers and blow for everybody. Let's go
Hookers
hookers
and
and blow.
blow.
Hell yeah! All right. And going back to the shit. Let's finish off on the shit. How's the economy looking, bud?
The economy's a mixed bag. It really is. Um, I I expected there to be a crafting boom earlier than now. I know that I knew that it could happen as late as like next week or the week after, but I didn't expect there to be such a built up amount of, for example, the Drakathists, and I didn't expect so many people to be really in a situation where they might not want to actually have a crest made. I did expect that there would be recipes that we wouldn't have access to, but um, it really surprised me just how many people were like, "No, I'm not going to do that." And in retrospect, it makes more sense than uh, I probably should have thought of it, honestly. Um, and I feel like a lot of other people are in that situation, and that there was a whole lot of panic selling because of that,
Mm-hmm.
which flooded the market. It made uh, a great many materials just nosedive into the fucking dirt. All of a sudden, stuff that you'd been building up is like, if you sell it, you're gonna fucking take a loss on. Dracathis in particular, everybody knows those dropped hard.
Yeah,
On the
they
other hand,
crashed. They're
well,
still
yeah,
down pretty cheap.
and it makes more sense when I think about it because you got to go, okay, if you sit there and think about it, the
There's a
crests that you
large
would,
there's a large supply and people can't use them. Like it's
yeah, crests are a bottleneck, but even more than just crest being a bottleneck, like there's the question of do I get something crafted with a crest, or do I, put these crests into my best trinket or into my weapon? or into just the gear that I already have and wait for whatever reason, particularly given that uh, there are multiple free quote unquote worm crests out there from like rep and from finishing the raid. So you've got stuff like that. Um, I feel like I feel like you get more stuff out of the aspect crests. I've been seeing more and more people go for the aspects, and that's something that is even harder because that's going to be a smaller player base that are this early on already rushing into 16 plus content and into mythic and what have you, right?
Mm.
So it makes sense in retrospect. On the flip side, I've seen, for example, the um, Dracathist quantity keeps on contracting, and it bounces back some here and there, which means that some people are still holding in, and then they try and shove it back on the market, or their auctions get canceled, or they run out and they shove it back on the market. But it still steadily goes down and down and down. And I see the number of people trying to order crests and other things with Dracothists going up. So I expect that to turn around. Now, is it going to turn around to the point where you suddenly see Dracothis back at, 20, 30K or something like that? I don't know. I do know that it's going to turn back around. There are other things. The new Shadow Flame material,
Ooh,
that is stupid expensive, which is
ooh,
expected because you can only get it from the raid.
phew, they're expensive.
Yeah, and and given that it's basically every fucking person's bis embellishment, um, that's going to be expensive for a long time. Another thing that's going to be expensive. The what the fuck is it? Basically, anything made from it is really expensive. But if you really think hard about it, right,
Mm-hmm.
it's it's almost not worth it for people to fucking make it for you unless it's that expensive. It should probably be more expensive. I'll give you an example. I've got a blacksmith that is basically maxed out, best possible crafting that you could get for alloys, um, and also has maxed out epic hammers of every fucking possible type and combination. And I went ahead and I bought like 20 of the fucking Shadow Flame things, and I made a bunch of alloys. Simply not getting the right procs means that you lose money.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, not even coming up even. I mean, lose money. It's literally, well, you didn't get enough multi-craft procs, or you did not proc enough resourcefulness and what have you, and that makes that a rocky market. Then you have um, fewer people that are making items that need it so far. That's going to go up over time, but it's important. Um, you also have some of these things that are almost fucking useless that require this stuff, like the fucking belt embellishment. Now,
Jesus Christ.
yeah, I mean, what is it, like 92 stamina?
92 stem. I think no, I think rank 3 is 106. If I remember correctly. I don't know. Let me
Well,
look. I'm at the auction house
in
right now. Let me
I,
look.
I remember back at the PTR where rank 3 was supposed to have been buffed. Like it was like 155, and it was supposed to have been buffed 25% on top of that. So that shit didn't happen. But to have
Shadow Belt class rank 3. Yeah, gives you 106 stamina. They're currently on the auction house for 85K.
Yeah, see, to have something that consumable that you would put it on a belt and it would be that expensive because it requires the fucking Shadow Flame alloy shit. That's that I I feel like that's a design flaw. Maybe it isn't. Maybe over time the shit will come way the fuck down, and it
It
probably will.
it will
But
if as long as the supply comes up. That's the thing. It's like right now that shadow flame thing you need to make it is really rare. So that puts a damper on it.
yeah, it really does. Um, will the supply come up? Maybe. And not as many people will necessarily suddenly want stuff with it. Like there is a finite market like every other market, but it's going to be really expensive for a while. Um, and that's kind of interesting, especially with the armor patches. Like one thing I don't think so many players know is that with your embellished things, the embellishment that you add to your items are actually they're actually they're just based on you having it added to your item. So having an increased level of embellishment won't actually do anything. The only difference between like a rank 1 and a rank 2 and a rank 3 embellishment is that the rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3 all have different difficulty levels. And the difficulty level isn't that big. And if you're on something that's particularly hard, okay, if you're on something particularly hard, then you will absolutely want to not necessarily go with a rank 3 because it's going to be an inspiration craft anyway. So there's a bunch of people that are probably buying rank 3. It's the same with crafting period, right? You've got all these people that are they're wanting you to craft things, and they immediately go out and get rank 3 stuff. Now, if you're doing a lower end craft, you can max out something with rank 3 materials using your metal. Most of them don't want to fucking pay you for that.
Yeah,
But but
yeah,
but leave
that's
that
that's it.
aside. Like,
That's another rant for a different day. But
yeah, that is in fact another rant for a different day.
yeah,
But that aside, like the fact that they immediately go and grab rank 3, the reason they do that is because they feel like rank 3 equals more better. Not necessarily. If you're going for an inspiration craft, you don't necessarily want rank 3.
yeah,
You might want rank 2. Hell, you may be able to get away with rank 1, right?
yep. God damn it! Never mind.
Right?
I'm about to go on that rant.
So
Uh,
so for example with the shadow flame thing, it's basically our bis embellishment, right? For just so fucking many people. Bis embellishment, like for DPS, you want a shadow flame armor patch.
yeah,
Well, the rank threes are tremendously more expensive than the rank twos, and that's okay. It really is. But you probably want the rank twos anyway. So save yourself some fucking money. Because if you're putting that on gear, it's probably going to be heroic or mythic level. And if you're doing something that's heroic or mythic level, it's already fucking it's already it's already at a point where you're going to be doing an inspiration craft.
yeah. It's a lot of times. I normally ask like if I need rank 2 or rank 3 when I get things crafted. So I can
Yeah,
see that, but
exactly.
that was one of those things that I didn't know until you brought it up to me the other day. Was about because I was looking at doing the toxified armor patch to go with my boots to see how how horrible that it's probably going to turn out to be. But I still want to try it. Um, but I didn't know that there was no difference between rank 1, 2, or 3 of the armor
Yeah.
patch. I didn't know that.
I feel like a lot of people don't realize
You
that kind of
automatically
stuff.
assume rank 3 is better. I mean, that's just your thought. That's the way that's the way our brains are wired to think, oh, well, a
Yeah,
higher rank's going to be better than the lower rank.
yeah, absolutely. But it's more than that. I feel like a lot of the problems with the crafting system and people not knowing what's happening with it and how it actually works, and even with at least some of these people out here that want to tip you basically fucking nothing and
Nothing.
not give you ingredients and all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
I feel like people just don't fucking know. Like they didn't bother to fucking read or do any kind of research, so they just don't know. And that's one thing right there. So get like if you're doing if you're doing a just a base level 424 craft and you've got a great fucking crafter, they might be able to guarantee you rank 424 with your armor patch. But you're probably not doing that. If you're getting an armor patch,
Mm-hmm.
that's fucking expensive right now. You're probably going to want to wait and do that with a worm or an aspect crest. Just get the rank 2. It doesn't make sense to get the rank 3. You know, it's an inspiration craft. So I think that's been interesting and an eye opener for me at least. I definitely have been thinking a lot about that kind of stuff. Um, like I said earlier, I really enjoy the fact that they have made all professions relevant for these barter brick quests, even though I don't like the barter brick system.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the barter bricks. It's too many, too hard to get. Too many. Uh,
Well, it's
it's
only been 2 weeks, right?
yeah, but it's a really grindy thing to
It is, and it
lock
is a
things
pain in the
behind.
ass. Honestly, the fact that it's hard to get it all really doesn't bother me near as much as the fact um, that you've added so many extra fucking steps and currencies. It's like the way they made the system so convoluted
Yeah,
and obfuscated so much stuff. That bothers me. But the fact that they did two profession quests on a rotating basis that will touch every fucking profession in the game, including at least some secondary professions like cooking, and made it where everybody feels relevant when they're doing professions and they're like, oh well, maybe I can make a little gold this week. That's great. And you've actually seen huge booms with that too.
yeah,
I've seen. So, for example, first week, I wasn't entirely aware of what was going to happen there, but when I got on and I noticed what the barter brick quests were, I immediately went to the auction house, go to the auction house, and go, "Oh man, this shit's fucking expensive." Well, I guess I'm gonna make the draconium fish finders for all my tunes, and then I made extra and sold those. That was good gold. Uh, I Early in the expansion, I made like 6,500 feasts or something like that, so I had those. Um, and then the uses shitty lowest stat feast thing. I went ahead and made a bunch of those, sold those. That was good gold. Um, the next one was I got in on the mana potion boom this week completely by accident. Completely by accident. I So every week, I tend to craft things that I think are going to do well the next week. One of the things that I crafted hard was mana potions, verse files, health potions, that kind of stuff going into this week because it's the week the new season starts. So we're gonna have raiders, we're gonna have people doing Mythic Plus, we're gonna have people doing PvP, all the shit, right? It's important, and most of them are gonna want fucking consumables, and that's great. Uh, so when I got on and all of a sudden was selling, stacks of 50 mana potions, which I had something like 20,000 of, for, 100 gold a stack or something like that, or 100 gold per potion. And then eventually I think it settled down at around 12 and a half. It's like those fucking potions usually only go for about 6 to 8 gold. That's tremendous. So the idea that you could get in on that, um, at least every so often, just the fact that you have these items that these people can get in on the booms for, that's huge. I really do like that, and people should be making note of what these quests are, and maybe
Hmm.
in the future you can build up like a supply of something and just hold it, and then it's, oh look, that quest is up. I'm gonna spend my first hour or so online just selling this shit, because it's literally like you put up 1,000 of something and it's gone 10 seconds later. So that's not a bad idea. um, but even regular crafting materials have gone way down. I expect them to go way back up. I'm seeing some market contractions here. So, for example, Frost was way the fuck up at the beginning of the week. Then it went way the fuck back down. It went back down to about 30 gold. Now it's way up again. Uh, there's definitely some interesting movement going on, and I think you should really watch the markets.
Yeah,
If you're holding your Dracathus at this point, you should probably keep holding. I don't think they're going to suddenly fall out and be like 1,000 gold,
and
but
yeah, no,
they
they're
will
actually
probably
back up a
rebound.
little bit right now. So
Oh yeah, yeah, and I really do expect, um, over time, because of the limitations on the market, the supply is going to contract and they will become more expensive.
well, yeah, the demand for those is going to go up, and I think a lot of people has honestly stopped making them because of
Oh yeah.
the
Well,
crash. So there's going to be even less right now. So,
it's more than that. It got to the point where it costs you more to make them
mhm.
than you would get out of them unless you got very, very lucky and got a multi-craft proc.
Yeah, I mean,
Even with a resourcefulness proc,
glow sports
you
went
wouldn't do it.
down to match because the demand for the glow sports went down as well. Um, so because there was a flood in the glow spores, it was the things you needed to make them, you know, went down also. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I do expect a rebound there. I expect over the coming weeks, your profession materials are going to start going up again. And you can already see that now. You can already see where it's going up on a lot of different things. Um, you do have some of the initial craft orders, which, people were offering public orders and private orders with ridiculous tips on. You're seeing a little bit less of that, but they're still there. Um, it's just a bit fewer and further between because more and more people have the recipe and people are jumping on it a little more quickly. If anything, I'd say that it's happening a little more often. Um, but then there are also a lot of people that already had their thing crafted, and then they're already putting like a an enchanted worms crest or an enchanted aspects crest in. I'm seeing a lot more movement there. Uh, it's going to be exciting seeing what happens.
yeah.
It really is. There's definitely a lot of opportunity to make some pretty good gold here.
I'm trying to now. I just had somebody ask about 447 acid boots.
You could fucking do it, baby.
Yeah,
It's going to be a inspiration proc, but
I
is
mean
what it
it,
is.
will be close. Yeah, I think it'll be close.
Either way,
Yeah,
um, that's definitely where I'm
yeah.
kind of feeling it. I feel like the market is rebounding on some things, in particular crafting materials, and there are a lot of things where the market's contracting too. It's just natural supply and demand, and It's happening with consumables too. So, for example, earlier in this week, consumables were uh, fairly expensive, but there were a lot of them. And as people died down and people had to start selling them cheaper and cheaper just because there was such a glut in the market, because basically everybody had the same fucking idea I did. It's like, well, I'm going to fucking prepare and sell consumables, which I made a killing on, but like, that's where it is. People have the same fucking idea. They know the same shit I know, right? So some of that's coming back because they haven't had time to replenish their supply, you know, which is really interesting. Um, I think you're going to see I think you're going to see more frequent booms in consumables for a while. It's going to continue until people start dropping from content. Now you might see these booms become a little more controlled where they don't go quite as high. So I'd get in on it as early as you can. And then one thing that I would recommend people do, especially if they aren't really doing this on a regular basis. If they just want to they want to they want a little gold, so they said, you know what, this week I'm going to do something and make a little gold. Don't overproduce. The markets they're very volatile, and you'll notice that even just when you're trying to post stuff, like you'll post something 2 seconds later, you've been undercut by five people. So when you're doing this, I would post in very small batches, very very small amounts. So if it's a reagent of some kind, if it's more expensive, like 300 gold or higher, maybe do 5, 10, 15 at a time. If it's a consumable like mana potions or something like that, maybe do 25, 50, 100. Just gauge how quickly people are undercutting you, because trust me, you're not going to be able to just drop that shit on the auction house and walk away and come back that night and go, "Oh, look, all my shit sold." No, there were because of the way the region-wide auction house works now. You're not competing with like uh, 20 other guys on your server. You're competing with 37,000 other guys across all U.S. servers or across all European servers or what have you, and every fucking one of them wants their gold. Many of them are more than willing to push you out of the market.
Yeah, it's
So when that happens, the best way to do it is dicker. Just sit there and ruin their day. Put up very small amounts, very consistently, and then when they get that picture and they start doing it back to you, leave them alone for an hour. Come back an hour later, do it again. Another thing you can do is, if you are going to put up these large amounts of whatever the fuck it is you want to sell, do it after midnight. Do it at midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that, because that's when they're less likely to jump the gun and bury you in 50,000 other things in front of you. Um, that's kind of where the market's looking right now. It's definitely a good place to make gold, but you have to watch it because it's easy to feel like you're going to lose out on your investment when you should hold,
yep.
because these prices will almost always bounce back,
Believe
you
me,
know.
as somebody who dabbles in the real life stock market too in the U.S., I understand.
Yeah,
It's you hit those moments where you want to sell, like it's like, but something tells you like, no, I need to hold. It's going to go back up. It's going to be worth it. And I think there's going to be a lot of things that we see. I've sold a lot of my regular um, mats, just plain, normal materials,
yeah,
but I'm still hanging on to the Dracathis. I think that they're going to, I'm at least going to get. break even. I hope from my
I, I
investment on that.
I
Um,
think some of that stuff some people are going to make some money
yeah,
on.
I think if you
You're
buy
going to
them,
have
I
to
think if
watch
you
it.
buy them now and hold on to them, I think there's a good chance that you're going to make some money. It won't be immediate. Don't expect to buy things now and be able to flip them for a profit tomorrow. If
Yeah,
that happens, great. But it's definitely something that you've got to be prepared for, a long term investment. And always, again, don't invest gold or money that you cannot afford to lose, because it is a risk. It's always going to be a risk. And I
well,
will put that disclaimer out every time to people. Like,
and I'll tell you something else. When you're going to invest gold, um, particularly in something like a Dracathist, you know, and I can fucking talk about this. I've got fucking nearly 500 of the goddamn things, right?
mm-hmm. You've
It's
invested
a
how
lot of
much gold
fucking
in it, probably? Like,
eh, well,
you had
a
to put a
whole lot.
number on it.
I don't know. I know what they're worth right now. I
Yeah.
don't know what they were worth when I bought them. The last time I bought them, uh, the last time I bought them for about 4,200,
Okay.
and I bought them as high as like I think I think I bought some at like 8,000, and then again at 6,000. So,
There,
so I bought them at a variety of places,
yeah,
and I
I
make
did
my own
too.
too. Um, I make my own too. So understand when I say that when you have a big investment that you're waiting for to pay off like that,
Mm.
first you do need to understand that sometimes it won't.
Yep.
So you need to be good with that. But the other thing is never bet on one investment.
Yep.
Bet on
Diversify.
multiple investments.
Diversify your portfolio.
Exactly. Always diversify. You know, if I am standing at the auction house on my bank tune, I'm not selling one thing. I'm not sitting there watching that one mount that I'm hoping is going to sell for a whole lot of money or something like that. I usually have stuff from like three, four, five, six, seven professions in my bags, and I am just I'm looking at each. I'm looking at what's worth to sell, what isn't worth to sell. If it's not worth to sell, then I will just keep a very small amount so I can keep on easily looking it up. Um, definitely look at that hard. You know, you need to diversify, and you also need to keep track of what your stock is going to sell for and at what place you make a profit at.
Yep. It's
And
it's
sometimes you may actually need to not hold. That happens too.
yeah. It's a
Just to throw that out there, once in a blue moon, you may go, you know what? Uh, I need the gold now more than I need to be holding onto this and hoping that it bounces back sooner rather than later. That's a thing, and I understand that. You should understand that too. Um, but by and large, just definitely watch your investments and
oh,
keep all this stuff in mind.
absolutely, absolutely. You just pay attention. Again, don't invest money you don't have to invest into it. Be smart. Just be vigilant. You know, keep keep your eye on it, and make some gold.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. You don't give the advice for people to lose money. You don't want people to lose money. You want people to win it. So, um, all right, we've been going for a nice solid hour and a half almost. All right, any last thoughts, man, before we go ahead and close it out?
Last thoughts. Not off the top of my head. No.
Off the top of the head, we've let it all out. We've let it all
I
out.
th- I I, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm all out of it too. there'll be plenty more to dive into next week. I've got thoughts, but I'm going to hold them for next week just because they could end up going into rants. So
I believe it.
I will hold off on that. Right, Mr. Misek, I appreciate it. Love you, dude. Great show. As always, I'm enjoying doing this with you, so it's great. Um, yeah. Thanks to the few people that watched. You guys are awesome. Absolutely love it. Look for it on YouTube. It'll be up on YouTube here in a little while. Won't take me long because I'm at home this week, so it'll be up on YouTube pretty quick. Um, but yeah, tell your friends. Let's spread the word. We're enjoying doing this. A few little minor technical difficulties getting it started, but it's good. It's fun. I think some of the stuff is really enjoyable. I can't wait to go back and listen to it. Um, yeah. Thanks again. Grats to Liquid, Go America, race world first. First time in a while. I'm excited for that too. Um, yeah. All right.
Hookers and blow to all of you.
Hookers and boys. Goddamn. All right. Later, everybody.